All right, and now we're joined by Akshay Dongare for more. Well, Akshay, day 3 today of the shutdown, given the scale and the unknown duration of the US government shutdown, how might this political impasse affect the global economic sentiment, particularly in the emerging markets?
Well, Lipakshi, if you're looking at the sort of impasse that has been created as far as this entire situation in the US is concerned, we are yet to see the entire implications of this sort of tussle that's taking place between the two parties. So, now that the government has gone into shutdown, and now that both the parties have realized that, the differences as far as this shutdown is concerned are quite wide. They are trying to deflect blame on each other because it is going to reflect, result into losses of jobs. This shutdown is going to result into people being laid off and several other complications as far as functioning of the government, social security programs, and other things. We are now, what we are seeing is that government isn't shut down. There is no plan as of now for the government to move further, and the situation now will further complicate as the situation and the results start to reflect on the ground. So the situation remains complicated, and we are yet to see the results of this entire blockade that has resulted after the two parties cannot come to a conclusion on how to do the budgetary allocation, as the fiscal year starts. So the situation remains complicated.
Right, Akshay, as you mentioned, the situation definitely is very complicated right now. But with President Trump threatening mass layoffs and cuts to the Democratic-aligned programs, do you see this shutdown as part of a broader political strategy to reshape the federal bureaucracy? And if we look at the other angle, what precedent might this set for the governance through executive pressure, as Democrats also clearly won't bend down?
Well, Lipakshi, I feel when from the signs that we have seen, this seems more like an intimidation tactic rather. The kind of we have seen how Donald Trump government, especially in second term, is working. Be it tariffs, be it other issues, the government is resorting to intimidation. Is resorting to threats. It's resorting to, in a way, a blackmail that if you don't give what we want, we are going to take an action that is going to hurt you, and we are going to get personal in that. That has happened with a lot of cases. For example, in tariffs, India was slapped with a 50% tariff just because Donald Trump wanted to. It was not a sensible decision that was made by the government because China still buys more oil from Russia than India, but there is no tariff on China. European countries buy more gas much more gas than India. India is not even in top contenders of the countries who buy Russian gas. But still, India was slapped with a 50% tariff. So it is all a pressure tactic, an intimidation tactic. So if you don't bow down to our will, we are going to take an action that is going to hurt you. We're going to get personal, and that is what is happening in this shutdown as well. Because Donald Trump earlier, we saw that he tried to stop funding and programs of the Democrat-ruled states. That was, unconstitutional. That was, when it comes to the bipartisan politics, it was quite low, quite a low blow, as you can call it. And now what we are seeing is that even this unemployment that is going to take place, and even the firings that will result are somewhat, there is an effort to use this politically, or rather threaten posture in a manner that the Democrats will back down. So this seems like more of an intimidation tactic, because overhaul of bureaucracy, overhaul of federal structure is not an easy take. USA is still functioning as one of the best economies in the world. It is growing, and this kind of an overhaul can really put sudden brakes on the growth of the US economy.
Absolutely. And also, if you're talking about the economy, simultaneously, Akshay, how is the stalemate over the healthcare demands influence the broader narrative of the American democratic functioning?
Well, we saw Obamacare, we saw the healthcare that the Democrat governments have programs that they have rolled out. They seem more like socialistic programs than a capitalistic structure of America. Because, if you go to US and if you have to buy a good insurance, it costs a lot of money. And if you go to a hospital, it costs a lot of money, you know, and the public, the government hospitals are not as adequate and as functional as the private ones, and they charge a lot of money, the private ones. So it has always been considered a part of the capitalist America. But you know, the kind of programs that were rolled out by Democrats were not being liked by, you know, the big pharma, hospitals and all of these structures. So it seems that there is some sort of you know, rethink about that, and it seems that the biggest tussle has become healthcare now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all those details.